Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on a bright and sunny Wednesday morning, the day after England booked their spot in the knockout stages of Euro 2020, and the night after Bukayo Saka didn't surprise a few Arsenal fans, but may have surprised a few fans from other clubs across the country with that sparkling performance at Wembley last night against the Czech Republic. I will get on to Bukayo Saka because I want to wax lyrical about him a little bit later on in this video, just because he is so damn good. But other stuff to talk about as well in this video, a few things, little bits and pieces. And I wanted to start with William Saliba, the player that I get more questions about, more mentions on social media about, I think, than anyone else at the moment. It's remarkable, Saliba. It's the whole situation is just one big confusing mess, really. I think no one really understands what has happened, what's gone on, how Arsenal can pay £30 million for a player who 2 years later hasn't played a single minute for the club, and how possibly could end up moving on this summer as well. We'll have to wait and see on that. And I can understand the frustration. I can understand why people are wondering exactly what's Saliba done wrong, what's Arteta's problem with him. Unfortunately, I can't really answer that because I just don't know, and Mikel insists he hasn't. But anyway, I mean, the situation with Saliba, as far as I'm aware, it's not massively changed, but there is a chance that he might end up moving on this summer just because of what's gone on. If Arsenal do manage to bring in Ben White, I'm not saying he'll move permanently. Chris Wheatley over at Football London, who I'm sure you'll know, fantastic reporter, put out a piece yesterday saying that Saliba's assessing his options, which is understandable given what's going on at the moment. I mean, the situation from Arsenal is still the same, that they're expecting Saliba to come back from pre-season and play like everyone else and be given his chance to impress Mikel Arteta like anyone else. But from Saliba's side of things, perhaps they are looking at things a little bit differently now, having seen the reports about Ben White and wondering, well, what exactly is going on here? Are we going to get any opportunities next season as well? Shall we look elsewhere? And they are putting the feelers out in terms of where they might possibly end up. Would it be another loan? Would it even be a permanent move? We'll have to wait and see on that. But it's a difficult one. It's a really difficult one for Arsenal, because you've got this asset who you've invested a lot of money in, and 2 years down the line, you haven't even seen him play one competitive minute. And I think the thing that frustrates everyone, and it frustrates me as well, is that he just hasn't even been given an opportunity. And maybe he wasn't ready last summer. The word that I've had from people who are in and around the training ground at times is perhaps he wasn't ready last summer. People saw that during those first few weeks of pre-season when he performed understandably so. We all know what was going on with William Saliba, personal issues and things like that. And perhaps he wasn't ready, and at that point Mikel saw it and thought, well, you know what, it's best that he goes out on loan. I think for me, the big thing that Arsenal messed up on last season, absolutely, I've said this before, is that they failed to get Saliba that move in the summer. If you were going to not give him an opportunity here, then get him out on loan. Don't end up messing that one up and then leave him here for those 5-6 months through till January where he's not even in the squad, having to play under 23s football, must have been feeling terribly marginalised for a young kid who thought he'd just got his dream move to the club that he supported and was going to get an opportunity. Suddenly that gets taken away from him, and then he's not even in the squad and he's having to play with the under 23s, which absolutely wouldn't have been in Saliba's mind when he turned up at Arsenal. So that's a major error that Arsenal completely messed up on. Then they did get him his loan in January, and he played well. By all accounts, I didn't see much of him at Nice, but by all accounts, he played pretty well for them. And I think those performances as well made you think, well, he can go and play in League One, which perhaps isn't as good as which perhaps isn't as good as the Premier League. Well, it's not as good as the Premier League, but you can't say that the teams that Arsenal played in the group stages of the Europa League were any better than Saliba would have been facing in Ligue 1. And the fact that he played so well over there for Nice suggested he could have easily done a job in the Europa League for Arsenal in those group stages and got his minutes and at least started playing and feeling more like he belonged to Arsenal. So there were some errors. There's been some major errors in the handling of the Saliba situation. Obviously, the fact that he was signed by the previous regime, everything changed, and then suddenly he's got a new manager who didn't sign him. He's got a new technical director who didn't sign him. It was Raul Sanllehi who got that deal done, Husfami as well. He's left as well. So you got a new head of football operations as well. So there's just been a massive change, and perhaps Saliba's going to be the victim of that regime change. We'll have to wait and see, because Something you feel like something's going to have to happen with Saliba this summer. Will he want to go out on loan again next season if Arsenal say that to him, or would he just want to cut his ties now and move on and sort of put this chapter of his career behind him and try and rebuild elsewhere? Again, it's all hypothetical at the moment. We'll have to wait and see. But in terms of where Arsenal stand, is that they still think that he's going to be coming back and he's going to be given an opportunity to do what he can do in pre-season, which starts in only a couple of weeks' time, sort of end of the first week of July. And so Saliba will be back at London Colney then, and will start having an opportunity to impress. But from the player's side of view, perhaps he is beginning to think, well, is this going to happen for me here? And if not, do I need to start looking at elsewhere? And there will be offers for him. Like I said, he impressed in France. Potential offers from England. Now, that would be interesting. Now, if Arsenal did decide to send Saliba out on loan, if they decided to send him to a Premier League club, and then we could get a real good look on exactly how capable he is in this league at this very young age, which we have to remember, he is still a very, very young player. And there's not many centre-backs of his age playing anywhere near the sort of very top level of the big 5 leagues in the country. So I think there's that you have to take into equation as well. So that's where we are on William Saliba. I think we'll probably see that one progress more in the coming weeks, certainly when he gets back to London Colney and he sits down and talks with Edu, Mikel Arteta, and then everyone can sort of decide exactly what direction to head in with Saliba for next season. Right, let's talk about from one young player to another. Bukayo Saka. I'm sure you'll see that. What a performance from Bukayo last night. Star man of the match as England booked their place in the knockout stages of Euro 2020. It was just fantastic to see. I put this out on Twitter this morning. The thing I love about Bukayo Saka, the thing I love most about Bukayo Saka, let's say, is just that ability to take everything into his stride. Nothing at all phases him. From the moment he's come into the Arsenal first team, that full debut over at Frankfurt in the Europa League, that performance he did over there, the first interview he gave over that game, after that game, when he was surrounded by me and about 20 other journalists down in the tunnel in the stadium, and he was only 17 at that point. You thought, God, he's going to be nervous from this, and he just stood there and just held it all together, spoke really well, and you could tell at that point, just from his character, like, yeah, this is a special kid. And everything from then is just moved on, taking it all in his stride. Now, player of the season last season, basically single-handedly rescued Arsenal from a relegation battle at one point last season. Such were the quality of his performances when everyone else was misfiring around him. And last night, again, it was a prime example of it all. The huge clamour for Jadon Sancho to start, which had been going on, in the lead up to the game. Then Bukayo Saka gets a nod. Surprise, Southgate's decision certainly surprised a lot of people. And there was just, I saw it on social media, there's fans from rival clubs, people who haven't really actually watched Saka, fuming and saying, what's he done to start? He shouldn't be starting. There's pressure on him straight away. All of that on top of the fact that this was a game that England had to win if they wanted to win the group. And he goes out and produces a performance like that at 19 years old. He's just a special, special talent. And, so much credit to everyone involved in the upbringing of Saka, from the moment he came into Hale End and the way he's progressed through Hale End, to Unai Emery for giving him his first big chance, for Mikel Arteta for the way he's developed him, and Saka's family, everyone. It's just a delight to watch him come through and do what he's doing. And he's a special talent. He was fantastic last night. I mean, it wasn't the best performance from England, but Saka was certainly the star of the show and helped get the job done. After the game, he said, look, this performance does give me confidence. Most importantly, it gives the team confidence. That's our 3rd clean sheet, and of course we scored a goal, could have scored more, and played some good football. For myself, I take a lot of confidence performance, and I think the team will as well. We just talked so well. Even that interview after the game last night, I think this is a 19-year-old kid and his first start in a major tournament, first appearance in a major tournament, and he just looks absolutely perfectly at home. It doesn't matter what position he plays in. Just a fantastic talent. Honestly, if I said this to someone I was talking to during the game last night, if I was Edu, Mikel Arteta, I would already be getting him tied down to a new contract, because yes, it was only a year ago that he signed that new deal, but everyone is going to be after Bukayo Saka. Everyone, You're just looking at that and thinking he can easily play for your Manchester Cities at the moment. The top clubs at the moment are at the top of the tree, and they are going to want Bukayo Saka. So Arsenal need to do all they can to make sure that he is absolutely nailed down and tied down and protected. And I would be all over contract talks with Bukayo Saka, even from this point. I doubt Arsenal are, I have to say, at this moment. They've got so much to do elsewhere, so many contracts to sort out elsewhere. We've got Emil Smith-Rowe, who I've already spoken about, who Aston Villa are apparently coming back in with another bid for, to sort out, and Tierney, hopefully that will be announced very, very soon and confirmed and signed very, very soon. Then you've got all the transfers you've got to deal with, but even so, Bukayo Saka would be right at the top of my priority list if I was Arsenal, because he is a special, special talent, and Arsenal need to make sure that he is tied down and committed to them for the very long term. So well done, Bukayo Saka, if you're watching. I'm sure you're not, but if you are, well done, little Chilly. Right, I've had lots of questions about Onana. What's going on? Andre and Onana are all a bit quiet. Unfortunately, I can't really bring you too much more on that. The fact is, Arsenal haven't made an offer. They haven't really been back in touch with Ajax, other from what I'm told, to say congratulations. In terms of to Onana's people, sorry, to say congratulations on getting the verdict reduced, but they haven't come back in with any further offer for him. Meanwhile, there is plenty of interest still from clubs in England, from clubs in France. Lots of clubs in France, I'm told, are beginning to put the feelers out for the potential of signing Andre Onana. But as of yet, from Arsenal, not much, nothing other than the, like I said, a bit of a sort of congratulations pat on the back to Onana's people that he had that verdict overturned. I think the situation, and this is me, I'm kind of presuming here, this isn't what I've been told, but I think the Leno situation is such a complicated one for Arsenal. The squad issue at Arsenal is a big one. You can't have too big a squad. You can't really have two absolute top level first choice goalkeepers competing for a starting spot at Arsenal. A, because the goalkeepers wouldn't want it, especially with no European football, so you've got no cup games to rotate, and B, Arsenal just can't really afford to have two goalkeepers on top level wages competing for one spot. And I think until Leno's future's sorted, it's very hard for Arsenal to do anything else and firm up the interest that they have in Andre Onana or Aaron Ramsdale, another goalkeeper that they're interested in. Because if, say, you went in and you signed one of those, and then Leno you didn't find a club for and he ended up staying, you're in a really tricky situation, difficult situation there. So I think the Leno situation is going to be complicating things massively when it comes to firming up interest in the other goalkeepers that you are looking at. And Leno's away with Germany at the moment. He's not going to be wanting to discuss his future until the Euros are over. So it's a little bit of a waiting game in terms of the goalkeepers, and it's a tricky situation Arsenal got to sort out. They've got to sort out the number 2 goalkeeper situation as well, and they also need to get Arthur Okonkwo tied down to a new contract, who's potentially a third choice goalkeeper. So lots and lots to do just in the goalkeeping department for Edu and Richard Garlick, let alone everywhere else in the squad. Again, a prime example of just how busy Arsenal need to be this summer when it comes to sorting out players' futures. In terms of Granit Xhaka as well, obviously he's away at the Euros, so that deal has kind of stalled a little bit. Talks between Arsenal and Roma progress, I'm told, but still an agreement has yet to be reached. Arsenal have got a figure, Roma have yet to reach that figure. Arsenal are certainly hopeful that this deal will get done. Granit Xhaka is certainly hopeful that this deal will get done. I think it will. I'd be surprised if it doesn't, but as it stands at the moment, the clubs have yet to reach that agreement, which will see Granit Xhaka head to Roma for next season. So that's one to keep an eye on. And again, as I've said before, I really think that and quite a lot of these deals you aren't really going to see massively progress until after the Euros. Perhaps not. I mean, with Xhaka, at least that is pretty much done. It's just a case of the clubs sorting out the fee. Everything else is pretty much all agreed, so I don't think there's going to be any major obstacles. It just depends again with sort of medical, that sort of thing, if Roma will sort of wait until after the Euros to get that done, if a fee can be agreed between the clubs. So we'll have to wait and see on Granit Xhaka, and the same goes on for a few other players at Arsenal are talking about the potential of selling, like Matteo Guendouzi, Lucas Torreira, those sort of players who are attracting interest from the likes of Marseille in terms of Guendouzi, Benfica said to be interested, Lazio looking at Lucas Torreira. It's a case of agreeing these fees, and I said it in a previous video, it's a massive game of cat and mouse in the transfer market at the moment. Everyone that I talk to says the same thing. No one's got any money really, and so whatever money they do have, they're trying to spend as little as possible so they can spread it around a few targets, and that's why at the moment clubs are really fighting and squabbling over transfer fees, because you've got the seller trying to get as much as possible, and you got the buyer trying to get it for as little as possible, and so you're reaching a sort of stalemate phase that takes days, weeks sometimes to get past. Quickly before I go, let's talk about pre-season plans. Now, this was interesting. Arsenal sort of confirming that London tournament that I spoke about earlier on in the summer. It's called the Mind Series, with benefit with money from it going to Mind, the mental health charity, and the respective 3 clubs' foundations as well. So that's been confirmed yesterday, as reported a few weeks ago. Arsenal are playing at home to Chelsea in that tournament, and then going away to Tottenham the week after. Tottenham in midweek go to Stamford Bridge. Should be an interesting tournament. Unfortunately, when it was all sort of put together and designed, it was going to be hoped the stadiums were going to be absolutely full. At the moment, it's looking like you might only have 10,000 fans there, but given what's going on and the potential of restrictions being lifted, all the clubs are hopeful that you're going to get more than 10,000 in, but at the moment it's very hard to confirm exactly how many fans are going to be allowed in to watch those games. But Arsenal's pre-season is now pretty much set, so they play Hibernian on the 13th of July. They're due back to training like the week before that. They go up to Scotland, have a week-long training camp in Scotland. They've got Hibernian on the 13th of July, Rangers on Saturday the 17th of July. Then they go over to America. They're going to play Inter Milan on the 25th of July, then either Everton or Millonarios on the 28th of July. Then they come back to England. They've got the Chelsea game on the 1st of August. They got Spurs on the 8th of August, and then the season starts the following weekend when Arsenal go to Brentford. Now, there is probably going to be one more game added between that Chelsea and Tottenham game, hopefully at the Emirates. The plan was that was going to be a kind of Emirates Cup. It wasn't going to be called the Emirates Cup, but it's going to be a kind of a match sponsored by Emirates, or that Emirates presents Arsenal versus. And the idea was it was going to be Atletico Madrid. Now, it doesn't look like that is now going to happen because of restrictions and travel issues and that sort of thing because of COVID. So the discussions to bring Atletico Madrid over, that looks like that is not going to work. And so Arsenal are working towards playing probably a top English club or another English club during that midweek. So about either August the 3rd or the 4th, ideally at home. Not totally ruled out that it might be an away game somewhere else in England, but ideally it's going to be at the Emirates. So probably one more game to be added to the pre-season schedule, and then that is that. Just quickly, Arsenal confirming yesterday the departure of Steve Bold. We all knew that happened a long time ago, but Arsenal confirmed the departure yesterday. Perma Saka, academy manager, says Steve has been a fantastic servant for us on and off the pitch. His record as a player speaks for itself, and he's been an inspiration to generations of young players coming through the academy. This has been a very hard decision to make. Steve's contribution to the 23s and the club as a whole has been huge, and he will always be an important figure in our history. Absolutely 100%. I'm not surprised Arsenal have made the change. I think they kind of need it. We're not clear yet who the new under-23s coach is going to be. Discussions about that are ongoing at the club. They're hopeful of making an appointment soon. But in terms of Steve Bold, just an absolute legend. Done so much for the club over 3 decades. Yes, he maybe last season wasn't great with the under-23s, but that shouldn't take anything away from what he has given to this club, both as a player and then as a coach, assistant manager, academy coach. Absolute legend. So salute you, Steve Bold. Best of luck with whatever you do next. All right, everyone, that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy your day. I'll speak to you very, very soon.